What's coming off around here?
If you guys playing railroad anymore today, there's a landslide, a new cut.
Welcome to episode 8 of Fun with HO Scale Stuff. I'm going to continue with the computer repair. In this start of this episode, just a brief coverage of that. And then I'll go into the actual purpose of this. This is part 3 of the Benchwork series. So exciting things ahead. So I went onto the internet and I looked around, and I got fortunate because I found an actual video that actually described how to repair the connector on this brand of computer. It's a Dell Inspiron. I don't know if I said it right. Inspiron. And it's only an i5 microprocessor, so it's a low-end computer, but it was a workhorse. It gets the job done. But I gotta say, I'm a little nervous about doing this process, even though I watched a video of someone else doing it, and I actually went and scrounged and found the part. Hopefully this is the part, if not the wrong part, to replace that connector. So to start things off, I got to get the bottom off of it. So turn it over. Screwdriver. So now the trick is to encourage it to come apart, I guess. Okay, so here it is. It's disassembled. And I'll tell you the strangest thing, like this screw right here, this is the one that was so stubborn, you saw it a moment ago. What I had to do was actually lift up on the lid and then come back in and rotate the screw so that it would finally release from that insert. There's like a metal insert there that's threaded. And I don't know why, it was the same as the one over here, identical, but yet that just wouldn't release. So, but I did finally persuade it at a small cost though. There was like a small little plastic tab that broke off when I was moving the top around. Well, actually that's the bottom, so I can get that. So I got to take this hinge off of here because it's directly over the connector. So I'll take these screws out. So I'm fussing around here with the connector, and I looked in here. This connector just pops out. That's all there is to that. And then it does. It gets routed around this side of the. The computer, I think. See if I can move these wires out of the way here. Yeah, it does. It goes around here. And then it goes in here. So I need to get these other wires out of the way. These wires here. I'll stick them back later. They're in the way. So I'll put that there. And okay, so it comes up through here. Well, this is going to be tricky. Put it back through the loop. There. And then bring it through here. I don't know why they put a tab here that's definitely in the way. It could be that this hinge is pushing it too. Let's see if I can get that to go back. Wow. That just doesn't seem to want to fit. It's got like a jacket, so if I just push on it a little bit, maybe I can get it persuaded around. Yes, yep. A little bit more, go on. All right, there's that. And it comes back around here. Actually goes underneath the board. There. And then it plugs in right here. So, okay, so I need a small tweezer. This will work. See if I can pry that out of there. I'm gonna get a hold of that cloth and pull it back. There we go. Okay, so that is out. Now, the big question is, does the part that I purchased fit that? You know, it don't appear to, I gotta say. But let's take it out and we'll look at it. Okay. Well, there's no way in hell. This is not the right part. That happens, but you know, the right part is out there. But since I got this one out, okay, it has a part number on it. So let me go back to the internet on one of my spare computers and look this part up and I'll have to get a new part. I'm going to continue from where I left off with this PC repair. I discovered that the replacement connector I purchased for this PC was the wrong one. And I had indicated that I was going to buy an actual part based on the part number that was attached to it. So instead of that, while I had this connector out, I discovered that what was actually happening was that there's on the connector, there is, this is a male and this is a female. And when I plug this in, there's a tab on the top of the female connector that engages the metallic barrel of this male connector. And what that tab had done over the years I've had this PC was it had deflected up off the circumference of this barrel on the power side, and as a consequence it would no longer make contact even though I could jiggle this connector you know, up and down and right and left. It wasn't making contact and it wasn't charging. So what I did was I took a small screwdriver on this connector in the PC and I pressed down on that top tab, and then while I still had it out, I tested by inserting this male connector into it. To my pleasure, I found that in fact it was snug and secure. And so I reinstalled that connector back into this computer, and I could show you that. Leave that power up for a moment. There it is. It actually works now. It works fine. In fact, now I think you can see the charge indicator will show up here once. Oops, I'm sorry. Once this gets plugged in, I have to reach around behind here. But look at this. Look there. See? And I can actually wiggle. I plugged it in, and I can actually wiggle this around, and it doesn't lose the charge. So it's been fixed with respect to this connector issue, which is the thing that was really the reason why I had to tear this all apart to begin with. However, I left a hint in the video. What happened was when I powered it back up and I tried to use the computer, I discovered first that my wireless mouse wouldn't work. It didn't see it, and I thought, oh, maybe the battery went dead, but that wasn't the case, because when I tried to use the memory stick that I transfer the video from the cell phone that I use to record the videos into the memory here, so I can edit it with my YouTube editing software, it wouldn't see this either. So that told me one thing, and it wasn't a good message. The I/O on these external ports got damaged, and I think it's damaged, and that was a result of me touching something I shouldn't have, and I probably zapped it with some ESD or however. My guess is that it was probably ESD, electrostatic discharge, and that's the same zap you get when you touch a doorknob, a metal doorknob, and you throw a spark. That's all it takes with these computers. These circuits are very sensitive to that kind of damage. So I can't use this computer anymore. And in order for me to get back up with producing the video content that I've been doing, I had to buy another computer. So that was a fairly big step. For me, it was fairly expensive, but this computer is pretty old, and it was an i5, and the new one I bought is an i7. It's much more capable of processing video. It does it much faster. So in that regard, it's a good thing, but from a financial point of view, not good. Okay, so I spent a lot of money buying a new PC to replace this broken one. So, that puts me in a financial bind. So I'm sure if I go back to Dan now and I explain my situation, that he's going to give me a raise. The man's really callous on the outside, but he's got a heart of gold. So I'm going to give him a ring right now. Hi, Dan. It's John. John Huntsberger down at the shop. Listen, Dan, I've got a kind of a financial situation here.
What?
Well, I somehow managed to break my PC, and I had to replace it with a new one. It's really expensive. Is there any chance I could get a raise? Oh, he hung up on me. Well, I guess I'm not going to get a raise. Well, I got a memo from the superintendent that apparently the company is unhappy that the Benchwork project isn't moving along quicker than it has been. So I'm going to have to try to get this completed as quickly as I can, or I'm not going to have a job. So it's pretty simple as I started out. I'll do the leg, I'll do one leg, I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll just off camera, I'll do the other legs. And then we'll move on to the frame. So with the leg, I've got these 4 clamps. These are fairly inexpensive clamps. You can buy them at the hardware store, or you can use, actually, any kind of clamp, but you got to clamp it because there's always some gap, like in between the 2 boards, that you got to take care of that so that they're tied up against one another. So I just take a pencil and just kind of lightly go down here, and then anything that's down on this part below the line, I want to sand that, and then I want to sand this part, and so that when I do the gluing that this wood is actually quite smooth, so I want the glue to have something to bite into. So before I apply the glue, I got this. I don't know. It doesn't have to be. It's just wood glue, so it could be any brand. And so I'm going to apply this after I do the sanding. There's one thing I meant to mention, and I don't believe I mentioned it yet, is that I take, when I selected these two boards, I took one from each pile because each one of these piles represented a separate cut. And in addition, I took and I placed all of the original factory cuts, the nice straight cuts, all together in one side, so that these will become the bottoms of the legs, and the legs will all have fairly straight. They'll have fairly straight bottoms on them. Now the other thing, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to mention stuff. I don't plan on nailing or screwing these together. The only thing I'm going to do is glue them. And let's see, I'll take this to spread the glue. And that'll be it. This glue will be sufficient to bond these two boards together. And this glue is quite strong. It'll do a great job bonding these. So I'll just go ahead and okay, here's that. Get this part. Get that wiped off. These two together. That's got that. Okay, I'll start clamping this. Start this end. Go to the far end over here, of course, out of video, but get that clamp on there. That's got that. And just do a quick wipe that excess there. Don't need that. And I'll get this aligned here. Clamp that. There's that. Got more out. And then clamp here. And squeeze a bunch out too. There we go. Voila, leg one, and I'll do the others off camera, but I just thought someone might want to watch me do at least one of the legs. And the next thing I'll demonstrate is the box. So, okay, I've finished up my legs. I've got 4 legs, and before I go on and talk about or actually demonstrate the frame, I need to clarify one thing for sure, is that the language I've been using is pretty loose. So the legs are going to be mounted to the frame, which is what I think I called a box earlier, or a rectangle. It's going to be made using 4 separate pieces, 2 8-foot pieces and 2 22-inch pieces at either end. And so the frame is then going to have 22-inch stringers in it. So it's just to clarify the language. And The other thing I want to point out here is you'll notice that the way I made these, I wanted all of the good ends all together at one point. And then what I did was I arranged them, or I glued them together in such a way that there's like a facing. So when they go on the end of the frame, that I have this long surface available, and then I have a short surface available, but they're opposing. I don't know if you can see that. So it didn't actually start out as a plan, but after I did the first two, I realized what I had accomplished, and I thought, well, that works out really nice. So I wanted to do the same thing on the next pair, and unfortunately, I actually made the next pair. I made the next pair like this, which has both the good ends down there. So I took the one with the best rough end and just flipped it over. But anyway, so I'm going to move on. I want to show you the diagrams I've made and explain how I intend to go forward with the frame. Well, just as a quick refresher, this is the planning I did to determine how much of what kind of lumber that I wanted to purchase in order to build this benchwork piece. So I'd planned on the frame to have the two end pieces and the two side pieces to create that. And I had 1, 2, 3 stringers placed inside of that, so that I had figured a total of 5 of these 22-inch cross pieces total. So we've made the legs. I've got legs now. So the next thing I want to do is to fabricate the frame, just the frame part. So this drawing shows the frame up at the top, and it shows that the glue joints, that's how the frame will be assembled, but the 22-inch against the actual finished end of the 8-foot pieces. So the stringers and the end pieces of the frame are inside of the structure, which leaves me with a width of the frame, total frame width of 2 foot. So the plywood will fit down flat on the frame. Now in the original plan, what I was thinking was that I put the legs on the inside of the frame, but I've decided that's probably not my best interest. So I came up with a sketch of the frame and how it's positioned with respect to the leg. So the leg will be attached to the frame. And then I also proposed on this sketch an additional 1x3 block will be mounted to the inside part of the leg that the frame will set down on. So that'll give the frame some additional support from below. And then I continued thinking about how that might work. It would still have the potential for wobble. So I also decided that in this sketch that I show a gusset. And the gusset will be mounted basically across the inside of the frame and the block, but it'll be permanently attached to the block, but it will be temporarily attached to the frame. Now the reason for that is because I want to be able to remove the frame if I need to dismantle this the benchwork and move it for any reason. So here's a side picture of the, move you over here a little bit so you can see it better. There you are. Is a side picture of the assembly. Here's the leg along here. There's the block below, and this is a cut off of the frame. So it's a cut off view of what this is. So that's the plan, and I will use screws to attach the leg to the frame from either side, including through the gusset, but I will make permanent attachment with glue and nail through the leg to the block and then and to the gusset to the block. So that will be part of the leg actually. So I can still lift the frame out of that. That's the plan. Well, this is going to be the conclusion of episode 8. And if you've watched this episode, you have learned 2 vital things. First, don't ever send your PC here to get them repaired. And the second is I've shared with you my plan to build this Benchwork in a secure, level, stable manner. But, well, we're going to see just how that turns out in the next episode. And, of course, the plan is just a plan. It may well be necessary to deviate from the plan because of other things, such as how do you butt 2 of these Benchwork modules together if the legs are on the outside. And yeah, I thought about that last night as I was trying to get to sleep. So I have a solution. We'll see how that all works out. So thank you very much for tuning in to this channel, spending time with me and listening to my problems and my successes. And if you would, please leave a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And just one last final word before I terminate this episode is that I want to remind everybody that Dan Thorn is the superintendent of the Lehigh Valley Terminal Railroad. And Dan is the one who makes guest appearances on this video from time to time. And of course, he's actually Mr. Wolf from Danger Lights. I did introduce him on the very first episode, but some may not have caught that, so I thought I might mention it at closing. So thanks again for joining this channel, and thank you very much for tuning in and watching it. Well, I'll try to create the next one in a timely manner because actually Dan's pretty upset with me that the Benchwork hasn't been completed yet. So I got to get hot on that project. See you in the next episode.